सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
There's been much demand from many of you that we should talk about what happened in Parliament. What happened in Parliament means what happened with these intrusions in Parliament and these smoke canisters, etc. Now, the reason I haven't spoken about that as yet, which means yesterday I gave it a pass, is because we didn't quite have the clarity on who these people were, where they came in from, what exactly happened. Plus, all of this was on your TV channels anyway, you were watching it live. So we thought it's better to give it a day's break and to talk about this when we have more clarity. So what do I have? To have more clarity, I have the two people in our team who would know much more about this than I would, even if I read up everything they've written or I spoke with them and had them debriefed. So these two people with me, as you can see, these are familiar faces. There is Moushumi Gupta, our deputy editor. She particularly focuses on the government, and Ananya Bhardwaj. Ananya also you know well. We've spoken about some of the Sikh radical issues in the past. We've also spoken about Manipur. In fact, both of them have spent time in Manipur also on that big story. Ananya is our senior associate editor, and she's been leading the coverage on this parliament intrusion or attack or whatever you call it. So once again, the format will be the same as before. As we have developed for this version of Cut the Clutter, I will do the minimum talking and these two will give you the answers. So Ananya, first of all, tell us what exactly happened. Who were these people? Tell us more about it.
So it was on 13 December when this incident happened. The session was on in the parliament and these two people entered the parliament. One is D. Manoranjan, who is from Mysore, and one is Sagar Sharma, he is from UP. These two people entered the parliament and they were in the visitors gallery. They went with a valid visitors pass to the parliament to watch the session. So while the Lok Sabha session was on, two of them who were sitting in the visitors gallery, they jumped went towards the well and opened a gas canister which emanated yellow smoke. That was the incident that created panic in the house, and a lot of MPs got together, got hold of those people. Even the parliament security service personnel who are posted inside held them. And meanwhile, while this was happening inside the parliament, two more people outside the parliament, one is Neelam Azad and the other person was Anmol Shinde from Latur. These two people were outside the parliament and they similarly opened those gas canisters.
So where is each one of these from?
Neelam is from Haryana, Hisar, and Anmol is from Latur, Maharashtra. So these two people were outside, and later the police found out that there were two more people involved who were making a video. One was Lalit Jha, who was later arrested. He was arrested yesterday, in fact last night, and another person, Vishal Sharma. He was the one who actually gave accommodation to these 5 people to stay in his house. He's from Delhi, he's from Gurgaon, and he stays in Gurgaon. So this is what...
And where is Lalit Jha from?
He's from Bihar.
So you have one from Bihar, two from Haryana, one from Karnataka?
Mysore, yes. D. Manoranjan.
Yeah. One from Mysore, Karnataka, and one from Uttar Pradesh.
Yes,
right?
Sagar Sharma.
Yeah, so this is quite a spread for 6 people to come from so many different states.
Right.
That is significant.
Right. Yeah. So initially that's what the investigators were wondering, that 6 people from such different backgrounds, such different states, how did they come together in Delhi? For how long did they know each other? But then once Sagar Sharma and D. Manoranjan were arrested and they were interrogated and questioned by the Delhi Police and Intelligence Bureau, it was found that these guys had connected on a Facebook page and all of them had a common connect. They were all Bhagat Singh fans. So they were also part of a Bhagat Singh fan club. And there was another group that was running Justice for Azad Bhagat Singh. So later the investigators found out that they had been in fact coordinating with each other and had been in touch for the past 1.5 years and had also met twice in Mysore and also in Chandigarh. So investigators tell us that in their disclosure statements, in fact, they have said that they've been part of several such protests, including the farmers' protest, the protest of the wrestlers' protest.
Against sexual harassment.
Yes.
Alleged sexual harassment by Brijbhushan Sharan Singh.
Yes.
Yes.
So they were part of these protests, and the essential, the motive of this protest, what they've told the police, is that they wanted to make the policy makers hear their demands of how the government is not providing enough jobs, how Manipur has not got justice. And in fact, when these people went inside, they didn't have the canisters with them. They also had some posters which they planned to throw, but they couldn't do it because before they could do that, they were caught. So the posters also have been recovered by the police, and the posters mention that one poster says Jai Hind, and another poster says that our Prime Minister has been missing, and whoever finds him, we will give that person 15 lakh rupees from Swiss Bank. So this was just taking a dig at the Prime Minister's promise that he had made, saying that once we get back black money, 15 lakh rupees will be
given to
everybody. Yes.
So what added to panic in this case, I suppose, was the fact that this was the anniversary of the 2001 attack, 13 December attack.
Yes.
And also because Gurpatwant Singh Pannu had threatened that he will create chaos or something, he will do something terrible in Indian Parliament on the anniversary. In fact, he had said in his video message, he had said that this will not be the kind of damage that Afzal Guru tried but failed to do. This will be something much bigger.
Right. In fact, which is why this was even more embarrassing for the security setup in the parliament, that despite such a threat, despite its anniversary, 13 December anniversary, despite this threat by Pannu, he had in fact released a video detailing that, there will be an attack. So security was stepped up, and despite that, these people managed to get inside the parliament with that canister. And how did they do it? I'll explain that how actually they took that canister inside the parliament later.
Before we come to that explanation, and I will also ask you that how did that pass through metal detectors?
Yes.
Moushumi, security in parliament, it's gone through a big change since that 2001 attack. And now there's a new parliament building. So I would presume a lot of money has been put into new security systems, etc. So what exactly happened and what failed, you think? You've been watching this for a long time.
So the main thing that failed was how these guys entered was the Sagar Sharma and D. Manoranjan, was that they got a visitor's pass which was recommended by BJP MP from Mysuru, Pratap Simha. So how does this happen is that it's not that the MP gives you the pass. The MP's office, basically, there are people who are coming from the MP's constituency. They come and want to have a look in the when the parliament session is on. They want to see the proceedings. So they go to the MP's office, and the PS basically fills up a form on their behalf, and then the MP signs
particularly if there is somebody who's come from the MP's constituency or that general area, which this person from Mysuru might have.
Yes. So his form was then submitted to there's something called the centralized pass cell of the parliament, which issues visitors passes. So the MP's office submitted it, and then subsequently these two got the pass. Once a pass is issued, the CPIC, the Central Pass Issuing Cell, they also send a copy of that to the Watch and Ward staff. Watch and Ward staff is part of the Parliament Security Services, and their role is to see the security, see who is coming inside the chambers, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and they are unarmed.
So if I may interrupt you, they are unarmed, but they are the ones who are asked to take away an MP. If an MP becomes too unruly, people jump on the bell, they have to be evicted. So it's these Watch and Ward staff people.
And they look like, they are on the watch all the time, very strict vigil once whatever is happening inside the house.
Very vigilant bouncers, uniform bouncers in the service of the state and parliament.
Yes, but then the thing is that they are posted only inside the house. But before you enter the house, any visitor, anybody who is entering the parliament has to go through 5 layers of security. 5 layers of security. In every step, you have these door frame metal detectors, handset metal detectors, and you have to go through frisking also. So despite all that, these guys managed to enter the Lok Sabha house. So that's why the opposition has raised a big issue out of it, that despite so many measures, so many layers of security, how could they breach it and enter the...
And they are saying, obviously there will be politics in all of this. They are saying that it has happened twice now, and each time under BJP's watch.
Under BJP's watch. And also one thing is that this has brought the opposition again, even if briefly, together. So I mean, yesterday the House proceedings in both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha got adjourned number of times because opposition wanted a statement from Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Lok Sabha saw pandemonium throughout, and it also led to suspension of 13 MPs in Lok Sabha who were protesting. One MP, Derek O'Brien from Trinamool Congress, in the Rajya Sabha. So the opposition again continued it today. For the second day running, both the houses could not function because, I mean, the opposition went on protesting, demanding a statement from the government.
Ananya, how do people smuggle in these canisters, smoke canisters, when you have to go through 5 layers of security, and at each layer there will be metal detectors, and these are very sensitive metal detectors. These are not metal detectors of the past. These ones, even if you had a credit card in your pocket, right, which had a little metallic strip, even that causes a beep. So how did this get in?
So it's a very interesting story on how they really planned it and managed to get inside. So from what investigators tell us is that they had done D. Manoranjan, who got the pass from Mysore. He's the one who actually did a recce of the parliament 8 to 9 months ago in the month of March. So he had gone to the parliament to see what all the layers of security are, what is the way to reach the visitors gallery. And at that time, he noticed that although there are 5 layers of check, everybody frisks you, nobody checks your shoes. So you're not supposed to remove your shoes and show it to them, or, put it through a scanner, which we do at airports. So that security, they don't check your shoes, they will just frisk you till your leg, and that's it. Then you can go to the visitors gallery. And that is when he decided that, this is how they can smuggle in the canisters, but provided that it doesn't have any metallic chip or any sort of opening, etc. So that is how they decided that they'll sneak in the canister in their shoes.
So what were these canisters made of?
So these are basically cardboard from the outside, and then there is a push button which is plastic. So it doesn't have a metallic element that would beep even if it goes through.
Somebody's had to fabricate these.
They said that they actually chose, they bought a couple of them and they chose the one which didn't have a metallic element in it. So actually it is Amol from Latur who had purchased those from Mumbai, 6 of those, and then he got it to Delhi. And the interesting bit is that it's not just the canister, but they also got the shoes custom made, because it's not possible for that canister to fit in the shoe. Yes. So it was basically the shoes. Sagar, who had also gone inside with Manoranjan, he's the one who got a cobbler to make these custom-made shoes. So basically, build a cavity inside the sports shoe, and they increase the platform by putting a sole on it, and that's how they put the canister in that cavity, and that's how they could go inside.
But this also means, it took a long time, and
yes,
they were all, since there was a cobbler also involved in this case, I'm not saying he was complicit. I would go with the presumption of innocence, but the fact that nobody talked about this, nothing came out, nothing spread anywhere.
No, because all of them are also first timers. These are not people who would have been on the radar of any agency or investigators, because they don't have a past criminal record. So nor are they members of any terrorist organization. Yes. Although they have said that when initially it happened, they thought it was a terror organization, but the investigators saying it doesn't appear like they are part of any terror group, but they're also saying on the other hand that it's a part of a larger conspiracy that needs to be investigated, because this seems like a very well planned, well thought out of breach, which they had been planning for months. So if they are purchasing these canisters after carefully examining a couple of them, and they're getting the shoes custom made, and then they are meeting together at a place. Investigators tell us that they had come 2 days ago before this, and they got a pass. They got the pass arranged. They stayed in Gurgaon at the house of Vishal Sharma, who's also an accused, but he has not been arrested. in this case. And he stayed at all of them stayed at his house, and then they collected on the day of this breach on 13th of December. They first collected at India Gate. They got together and they discussed how who's going to go inside and who's going to be stationed where. Another very interesting bit here is that the Lalit Jha, who was absconding and who was arrested yesterday, he was the one who took all the phones of all these accused. So whether it is D. Manoranjan, Neelam, Amol, all these phones were with Lalit Jha. He was recording it and he was sending those clips of these people to someone. And at the moment he realized that these people have been caught, he fled with those phones. And now, when he was arrested last night, the police tells us that he has burnt all the phones. He went to Jaipur and he burnt all the phones. And why he did that was because there must be evidence in the phone as to who these guys were in touch with, who is this person who was reading their messages, because this Lalit was constantly updating someone on the phone that this is where they are, this is where we are stationed, this is what has happened. So he has burnt all phones. So that is, now he's been arrested and he's being termed as the main conspirator of all this. But police say that, this is part of a larger conspiracy, and also some sort of funding is involved in this, which they are now probing.
So this is the important thing then is that this Gurgaon fellow, the house owner, has not been arrested.
No.
Because what we saw on TV made it sound like he and his family have all been arrested. That is not true.
They were called in for questioning, they were detained, but they were let off. So the police say that we have not found any evidence to basically connect him with this incident. In the conspiracy. He may have just given them the space to stay. What we are suspecting is that he may give a statement against those guys, and which will help the police case. So he has not been arrested. His name is not in the FIR. He was just detained for questioning. His wife was also detained for questioning, but they were let off.
Moushumi, first of all, what will happen now to Parliament security? This must have left lots of red faces.
So the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla had a meeting day before yesterday, the day the incident happened. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla had a meeting with all the MPs of the Lok Sabha after the House got over, and he listened to them, took their views on what measures, safety measures should be taken. And following that meeting, it was decided that from now on, they decided 3 or 4 measures that would be taken immediately. So one is that they would be installing body scanners inside the parliament, like the one that you see in airports. So body scanners would be there apart from the door metal detectors, door frame metal detectors and handset metal detectors. Besides that, they are bolstering the strength of the watch and ward staff. And they would also put glass ceiling in the visitors gallery. So that's a new addition, so that, in future, in case somebody wants to...
Glass partition.
Glass partition. So in case, basically to prevent a similar incident in future. So these are the immediate steps that they are taking. And besides that, they are also beefing up, and they are, they are basically holding meetings with MPs to see how visitor passes that they recommend, as in what steps should be taken to ensure that a similar breach doesn't happen in future. In fact, yesterday in Rajya Sabha, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said that as MPs, we need to be very, very cautious on how we give and who we give these visitors passes to. So that's one thing that would be taken care of. Also, now the visitors have been temporarily barred from entering the parliament.
I hope it only remains temporary.
That's what they are saying, but we don't.
This becomes a reason, because sometimes these bans, they are imposed temporarily, but they become permanent because the establishment likes it that way.
Yes. So, right now, as of now, they are saying that it's going to be temporary. Second, they are since yesterday, so journalists used to enter the parliament from the main gate as MPs. So now they have stopped that. MPs enter from the main gate, and there are separate entry for journalists, for the parliament staff. So that has happened. And also there is an enclosure where journalists wait and where MPs come to give a bite or talk to them. So now that distance has increased from the main gate of the parliament to the journalist enclosure, and nobody would be allowed, no journalist will be allowed to stand at the parliament complex gate once you enter inside. So that has been done away.
That's real collateral damage, because journalists did not make any mischief in this case. So this has become a good excuse, in fact, to keep journalists further away.
Yeah, and as it is post-COVID, the government used the excuse of COVID to prevent the entry of journalists. Like earlier, from any organization, any media organization, 4 or 5 reporters used to go and cover the parliament sessions. But now that has been barred. From each organization, only 1 reporter can cover the session in the houses, the 2 houses. So as it is, there were a lot of restrictions that had come in place post-COVID. Now it's going to become further difficult for reporters to go in and have a free interaction with MPs inside the house, inside the parliament complex. So that's the real damage, collateral damage, like you said.
To journalists. There is a certain history to this wanting to paint on the radar screens through a parliament or an assembly. And it goes back to Bhagat Singh's era, what Bhagat Singh did. Again, not with the intention of hurting anybody. So we've seen now 2 of these. There have been some other protests like these, but some of those protests have actually been made by MPs. And I will tell you about one of them. But don't confuse this with what happened on 13/12/2001. That was a pure and simple terrorist attack organized from Pakistan. It was a Jaish-e-Mohammed / Lashkar-e-Taiba kind of attack that was carried out, and the idea was to either kill a bunch of MPs or to take a lot of them hostage. And you can imagine, if that many people with automatic weapons had got inside the main hall, what chaos it would have caused. So let's also not confuse the 2 different situations. That was a very different thing, but that's because the country is cautioned by that, and because that almost led to a war between India and Pakistan, because that led to a Parakram, BJP government, Vajpayee government piling up Indian forces on the borders, threatening war. In fact, Mr. Vajpayee at that point said, "Aar paar ki ladai hogi," and leaders from all over the world flying into India, British Prime Minister, US Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, all of them coming in to try and persuade the 2 sides to pull back. So with all of that warning and all that sensitization, for this to happen is a real loss of face, and it's a very big failure. But at the same time, we should not confuse that situation with these situations. Now, protests by MPs, you see MPs holding up placards. You see MPs doing some kinds of funny things. They jump into the well. Sometimes they are thrown out by watch and ward staff. But the funniest, I would say, that I have seen, at least, was in my early days in Chandigarh at Haryana Assembly. This is when Bhajan Lal was Chief Minister. Two opposition MPs, they pulled out sugarcane sticks from inside their dhotis and they climbed onto the desks and they're saying, "Speaker Sahab, ganne ke daam theek dilao, ganne ke daam theek dilao." And Rao Ram Singh, who was retired colonel from the army, paratroopers, I think, he was so annoyed and he said, "Don't bring your persecution complex to this house, get out of here." So that was quite a scene, but that was something one could laugh about. This is serious, because if people can bring a harmless gas-causing powder in canisters, it could be a deadly poison as well.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Bad guys can get ideas. Bad guys can get bad ideas. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that the government will now, or the security agencies there will now further tighten the process. So Ananya, these people have been arrested now. First of all, are there more arrests to be made? If so, who are they likely to be? And second, what will happen to the people who've been arrested?
Right. So the people who have been arrested, there are 5 who have been arrested, and all of them have been booked under the UAPA, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And the court has granted 7 days of police custody for all 5 of them. And they will be now questioned, as the police said that, we are questioning them on the larger conspiracy and the funds where they received it from, how they planned it all. Another high-level inquiry has been initiated by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and Mr. Anish Dyal, who is the Acting Director General of CRPF, and he also looks after ITBP, he's DG ITBP, Anish Dyal. He is looking after this probe, and they will be submitting a report into this. So as far as the investigation is concerned, the police will take 7 days to question these accused. As I said, that the sixth person, he may turn to be an approver in the case, because he knew what was happening, and he actually gave his house to stay for all these 5 people. So as the investigation proceeds, they will be looking into their bank accounts, the phone there's one phone that was recovered from Lalit, so they will be looking into that. However, they will also be taking these people, like they said that from where the canisters were purchased. So Amol will be taken to Mumbai from where he purchased it, where the shoes were made. So all these evidence they will collect in the course of this time, and soon they'll file a charge sheet in the case.
But given what happened to, say, Shaheen Bagh protesters or some farm bill protesters, many of them, Shaheen Bagh protesters, are still in jail, particularly students from JNU. You see something, a fate like that befalling these people also?
Yes, of course, because they have invoked UAPA, so bail is going to be very difficult in this. Plus, they have also brought in this fact about this larger conspiracy and some handler being behind this act. Which is why what I can presume is that bail is going to be difficult. They'll be also seeking extension in the police custody as well. Also, one interesting thing that what we heard today was that the canister, like everybody has been calling that these are harmless gas canisters, but they have also put one more thing which they told the court, that when we saw the canisters, the empty canisters, it says that they can cause harm. They cannot be used in enclosed spaces, and some of the people, MPs, had irritation in their eyes and skin after they were opened inside. So they are also looking into, they've sent those for forensic examination to see whether they were actually harmless or they could have done some harm. And also those shoes have been as collected as evidence. So all of this they are doing, and this probing of larger conspiracy is going to be, we'll have to wait and watch what they find and what funds they find in their accounts. So that needs to be still, that's under investigation.
Moushumi, you have a parting note and some concerns over what's happened?
One thing is that because this new parliament was inaugurated just in May, just a couple of months before, and also post the parliament attack 2001, the security in the parliament complex as a whole was beefed up. CCTVs have been put up everywhere. You have barriers, metal barriers, you have metal detectors, and many of that things are there in the new parliament also. The government used to say that it's completely foolproof. Something like this has happened is a matter of worry. Yesterday, Union Home Minister Amit Shah at a event in one of the media organizations said that, it's a serious breach of security and we are looking into it. So the government should, come up with a way to ensure that all these security protocols are strengthened, bolstered, so that, a similar incident doesn't happen again in future.
And I think all of us will hope that the media does not suffer collateral damage from this, because media had nothing to do with this, and will unlikely have anything to do with any such thing going ahead. So for this to become an excuse now for a reason to push journalists further away is not going to help anybody's cause. That's an opinion, but that's also an opinion not just in self-interest, but in the interest of all of us, because Parliament of India is where all the important matters important to the people of India are discussed. Laws are passed which determine their fate, and that's where media needs to be there, and media needs to be in proximity and be in touch with MPs so they can bring the news to the rest of the country in a balanced manner, in a balanced and eyewitness direct manner. So that is my little piece of opinion and a wish here. Ananya, you have a parting note?
I just hope that the investigators do not look at this entire case with a biased approach, and should stick to facts as to, we need to see if it rather was a larger conspiracy or just a group of people who thought that they wanted to put across their voice to the policy makers? Was it just one-off act of these people, because they don't have a past criminal record? So I hope the investigation in this case is fair.
Yeah, fair, and it's not angry, because
Yes.
the security establishment would be very angry now, isn't it, Moushumi?
Yes, security establishment is angry, and also because
Smarting.
Embarrassed.
Yeah, and also because in the Lok Sabha, the security in charge is a joint secretary level officer. So the joint secretary, the previous joint secretary security in parliament, is an IPS officer, Raghuveer Lal. So his tenure ended and he went back. And now we have a director level officer, BSF DIG, who was handling that charge. So the security establishment, of course, I mean, is smarting from this attack and will be looking at more stringent measures to
And you know what?
more stringent measures to, bar entry of outsiders, visitors, journalists, like you
वो
said.
हमारी पुलिस का होता है ना, कहीं चोरी हो जाए, if there's a burglary in a house, so next day they post a police constable outside the house as if the thief will come back to the house. So
Same house.
that happens a little bit with our police forces. So that's a valid concern. Also, this thing of breaking into parliament or an assembly, this was sort of, there's a Bhagat Singh history, so people can get carried away. Once again, make a clear distinction from a terror attack like 2001. That's a different thing. Or then something like this was also in a way romanticized in Rang De Basanti, Amir Khan's film. That is not Parliament of India, that is the All India Radio building, or supposedly the All India Radio or Akashvani building. Again, to draw attention to an important issue, in that case, the safety on MiG-21 aircraft of Indian Air Force. So some bit of it also goes into folklore and gets romanticized, and some people can get misled in thinking about it too much. So those are the concerns and various elements of the story that we've discussed today, and thank you very much, Moushumi and Ananya. Without you, I would have taken 6 hours just reading up everything, and even then I might have been confused, too confused to tell the story accurately.